Changing future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, February 16th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, President's Day broadcast. Quite a bit of news today, actually, on this federal holiday. We have that clip linking up all the presidents through the bloodline, except for Martin Van Buren. Take a look at that again. So don't cry too hard on this President's Day. They're all the same bloodline of elitist. We'll cover that. Little economic news. Whole lot of little Department of Homeland Security news. They're building FEMA camps everywhere for us. Of course, for the illegals, they tell us. Whole lot of Epstein news. Get your barf bags. We got a lot more Epstein news. And we have geopolitical news. And, of course, the genocide continues there in Gaza. And we have Lindsey Graham saying the quiet part out loud here, that he says the wars of the future are being planned here in Aardvark land. What? Yeah. All that and much more on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Let's get to, well, give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. It does help. X is on again, off again. X is all glitched out today. Reports of mass outages. I'm having trouble loading pages. So X is having some technical difficulties out there. Tomorrow we will have William Ramsey on. We'll do a deep dive into the cult, all this Epstein stuff, and much more. Be sure to tune into that. It shall be very enlightening, to say the least. Okay, let's get to on this day in history. On this day in our history of February 16th, going back to the year 1349, aardvarks are expelled from Bergdorf, Switzerland, after being accused of spreading the bubonic plague. So they're noticing all the way back there in 1349. In 1741, on this day, Benjamin Franklin begins publishing the General Magazine and Historical Chronicle for all the British plantations in America. In 1859, on this day, the French government passes a law to set the A note above middle C to a frequency of 435 hertz in an attempt to standardize the pitch. That's 1859. 1861, on this day, Abraham Lincoln, this is a story they tell to endear us to Abraham Lincoln, right? They say it's our official history. I'm not saying I believe any of this. I'm just putting it out there because we can connect the dots back to a lot of this stuff. Anyhow, on this day, official history tells us that in 1861, Abraham Lincoln stops his train at Westfield on his way to Washington to thank an 11-year-old Grace Bedell in person for her advice to him to grow a beard and gain voters and gain popularity. Maybe it's true. I have my doubts about the large majority about what we're told is true. In 1916, on this day, the sinking of the Lusitania. allegedly a major factor getting America into World War I. In 1916, on this day, the German ambassador in Washington announces that Germany will pay an indemnity for American lives lost on the Lusitania. Also on this day, 1916, the U.S. rejects the right of Germany and Austria-Hungary to sink armed merchant ships. In 1917, on this day, and the noticing wore off apparently because they blew it, right? 1917, on this day, the first synagogue in 425 years opens in Madrid, Spain. And now where are they at? Legalize 500,000 illegals. It's wild, but they should have kept the noticing up there in Spain on this day, 1917. Just saying. In 1923, on this day, Tutankhamun's burial chamber found. Howard Carter opens the internal burial chamber of Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb and finds the sarcophagus. On this day in 1933, maybe somebody should have listened. I don't know. 1933, right? Catholic newspaper Germania warns against Nazis and communists. Nobody listened there, did they? In 1943, on this day, sign on Munich facade, out with Hail Hitler, long live freedom, done by White Rose student anti-Nazi resistance group, caught on February 18th and beheaded on February 22nd. The White Rose free speech resistance there to the Nazis in Germany. In 1945, on this day, Venezuela declares war on Nazi Germany. 1945. Also in 1945, World War II, U.S. Navy 5th Fleet aircraft carriers and planes begin 2-day bombardment on airfields and aircraft plants near Tokyo, Japan. Over 500 Japanese aircraft are reportedly destroyed in those attacks. In 1946, on this day, we saw the first commercially designed helicopter tested in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In 1959, on this day, Fidel Castro becomes the 16th prime minister of Cuba after overthrowing Batista. In 1968, on this day, the United States' first 911 phone system goes into service in Haleyville, Alabama. In 2019, on this day, then Pope Francis defrocks ex-cardinal and Archbishop of Washington, Theodore McCarrick, for sexually abusing minors and adults, the first cardinal to be removed for sexual abuse. Not only Epstein, it's in every institution. It's in every institution here now, isn't it? In 2000, and then just 2 years ago, 2024, on this day, Donald Trump and the Trump Organization ordered to pay $354 million in fines in New York civil fraud case, one of the largest corporate sanctions in New York history. And then on our civil liberties, on this day in our civil liberties history, in 1976, the CIA report the president doesn't want you to read, New York's Village Voice published on this day a summary of the Pike Committee, established on February 19, 1975, report on abuses by U.S. intelligence agencies. The Voice headline read, "The CIA report the president doesn't want you to read." In fact, the House of Representatives had voted not to release its own report on January 29, 1976. President Gerald Ford also did not want the report released. CBS reporter Dan Schnorr had been given a leaked copy of a summary of the report to The Voice, and as a result lost his job and was threatened with jail for contempt of Congress. The Pike Committee report has never been released. Imagine how bad the Pike Committee report is. You know what I mean? That was running side by side with the Church report. The committee's findings, however, were reported in the media, including the New York Times in early 1976. The reports of the Senate Church Committee, established on January 27, 1975, were released and are still a valuable source of information on the history of abuses of the CIA and other intelligence agencies carried out upon the American people. But wouldn't you like to see the Pike report? We're never going to see it. Like we're never going to see the rest of the Epstein files. Imagine the abuse in the Pike Committee, because it was insane what came out of the Church Committee. So imagine what the Pike Committee report said. In 2014, on this day, Snowden document, reporters win prestigious Polk Award. The 2013 George Polk Award for Excellence in Journalism was given to 4 journalists who reported stories based on the documents about the National Security Agency, NSA, which had been stolen and leaked by former NSA contract employee Edward Snowden. The 4 journalists, they name them here, blah, blah. Yeah. On April 14th, 2014, the 2014 Pulitzer Prize for Public Service was awarded to The Guardian, U.S., and the Washington Compost for their stories on the NSA spying based on documents leaked to them by Edward Snowden. And it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse since then. Here's our segue to the news. Yeah, they're all the same bloodline, except for Martin Van Buren. How did he even sneak in there? I don't know. And remember Trump is like, he's Hillary's like 6th cousin or something like this. Anyhow, here's our segue to the news. Happy President's Day. They're all the same royal bloodline.
On the School Watch tonight, the story of a 7th grader from Salinas who claims to have made a major discovery about President Obama. She and her grandfather say that President Obama is related to all but one U.S. president. We get more tonight from Action News reporter Felix Cortez, who's live in our Salinas newsroom.
Well, Dan, the youngster spent the summer, really all summer, tracing the family tree of our presidents. Her conclusion that all the presidents, with the exception of one, share the same grandfather.
Well, first we start off with George Washington at the top, and then it goes to John Adams, Thomas Jefferson.
11-year-old Bridget Davigno says she's made a first-of-its-kind discovery that President Obama and all the presidents before him, with the exception of one, are related and descendants of a former king of England.
No, they are all cousins, and they're grandsons of John Lackland.
Davigno says she spent countless hours on the internet over the summer researching the lineage of our presidents, a project that started with her trying to trace her own family tree.
But I'm the first historian to do all the presidents. I'm very glad I got this done, and I think it will turn out to be a success.
The Monte Vista Christian 7th grader has written President Obama to tell him the presidents before him are his cousins. She hopes to present this family tree chart personally to the president. But Bridget has her skeptics, including this reporter. Her biggest supporter and firm believer that Obama is a descendant of a former king of England is no doubt her mother.
If you have a child, and they 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 have a child,
Life names change.
all she's saying is this guy is the great, 25th, 27th, depending on what line it is. He created all this family. So do I believe it? Yes. It's hard, but it's true.
Well, Mom said it. Hard to believe, but you got to give the little girl an A+ for at least trying to do that and trying to accomplish that feat. And by the way, Bridgeanne has concluded she's the 11th cousin of President Obama. Dan.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Felix. So who is the one that President Barack Obama is not related to, according to the seventh grader? Martin Van Buren, 8th President of the United States, first U.S. president born in the U.S. Van Buren was a widowed farmer and tavern keeper from New York who helped form the Democratic Party, served one term as president. His ancestry is Dutch, and according to the Salinas 7th grader, all of the other presidents are of English ancestry.
Martin Van Buren snuck in there, didn't he? Only lasted one term. Yeah, they're all related. They're all the same bloodline. Happy President's Day from the White House. Here you go. This is a meme posted by the White House. Happy President's Day, Trump's world. I was the hunted, now I am the hunter. More QBS. Trump's part of the bloodline. President's Day, and this is from your Department of War meme of the day. They put Trump up there with George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. With a little drone. Notice that? I just noticed that actually. Oh, that's nice. A little B-2 stealth bomber there, right? That's nice. The Department of War threw that in. Yeah, they're pumping America 250 all the way till July 4th here. On President's Day, this is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They say on President's Day, we give ode to our founding fathers, especially our first president, George Washington, and the USDA's founder, Abraham Lincoln. Both understood the importance of agriculture. As the U.S. marks 250 years of independence, USDA is honoring the people and places that feed and fuel our nation. Celebrate America's 250th birthday with us at the Great State Fair, featuring exhibits from all 50 states. On the National Mall in Washington, D.C. State Department meme of the day here. We've been memeing a lot. Proud of our common inheritance, unapologetic in our heritage. Because little Marco was over there at the Munich Security Conference and said we're in a new era, a new world order, essentially. But hey, this is your message from President Trump on this President's Day. Happy President's Day. Prices and inflation are way down. The stock market and your 401ks are way up. Our military is strong and powerful. Our law enforcement is great. And our border is 100% secure. Murders, year 1900, and crime are at record lows, and our country is bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Working hard. Enjoy your day. President Donald J. Trump there signed. Well, turns out he's lying about the economy. U.S. national debt is set to surge to plus 2.4 trillion per year over the next 10 years, according to estimates out of the CBO. As a result, U.S. debt will likely reach a record $64 trillion by 2036, doubling from 2003 levels. That would be triple the debt recorded in 2018 before the bad times. All while the annual interest costs on federal debt are expected to more than double to 2.1 trillion over the next 10 years. This all assumes the economy will not fall into recession over that entire period. This is like best case scenario. 64 trillion in debt is now the best case scenario. And here's a little chart to go along with that. It's the golden age. It's the golden age of economic collapse. Sadly, Robert Duvall has passed away. And we've played, was it him? Maybe it wasn't him, but we played that clip from Apocalypse Now quite a bit on the show, showing the hypocrisy of they're more concerned about foul language written on the planes than the actual killings. But classic American actor there, Robert Duvall, passes away at 95 years old. Bless his heart. Known for The Godfather series, Apocalypse Now, amongst many other classic American films. There's an ecological disaster, we're told, by the EPA. Trump put this out, but he got it from Lee Zeldin, head of the EPA. They say, Trump says in this post, there is a massive ecological disaster unfolding in the Potomac River as a result of the gross mismanagement of local Democrat leaders, particularly Governor Wes Moore of Maryland. A sewer line breach in Maryland has caused millions of gallons of raw sewage to be dumped directly into the Potomac River, a result of incompetent local state management of essential waste management systems. This is the same governor who cannot rebuild a bridge. It is clear local authorities cannot adequately handle this calamity. Therefore, I'm directing federal authorities to immediately provide all necessary management, direction, coordination to protect the Potomac, the water supply in the capital region, and our treasured national resources in the nation's capital city. While state and local authorities have failed to request needed emergency help, I cannot allow incompetent local leadership to turn the river in the heart of Washington into a disaster zone. As we saw in the Palisades, the Democrat war on merit has real consequences. The federal government has no choice but to step in. FEMA, which is currently being defunded by the Democrats, will play a key role in coordinating the response. Federal government takeover of everything because all your local leaders are incompetent according to the feds. Why even have local governments? Why do we pay them so much in taxes? The feds will take care of everything. Oh, there's separation of powers. I know civics in America is a conspiracy theory, but hell, let's just federalize everything and have a full-on federal dictatorship here now. Why do we pay local taxes to fail everywhere you look? No one gets in trouble, no accountability. Why does ICE need to go in? And on it goes. Federalized, militarized police forces. Now they can't clean up the sewage leak there in Maryland. Like, seriously? Seriously. And you think the feds are going to do any better? So here's Obama over the weekend. This went viral. Obama confirms aliens are real. Yeah, illegal aliens are real. They're all over the country. Let's take a listen. And then Obama did add some more context after we play this clip.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
How is it I'm half white and related to every other president? I think he knows. That girl wanted to inform him. Anyway, more on Obama's statement here. He says, let me put it on the screen for you to add some context. He said, I was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round, but since it's gotten attention, let me clarify. Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there, but the distances between solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. And I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us, really. Well, thanks for that, Obama. So adding more context there. And don't jump on board with Project Bluebeam alien invasion hoax here. Thanks a lot, Obama, for clarifying there for us. DHS picked up another large warehouse in New York. And so they're building FEMA camps all over the country here. And yeah, illegal aliens are all over the place.
The Department of Homeland Security is pushing ahead with its plans of expanding detention space across the country. The agency confirming to Fox it has purchased a warehouse facility in Chester, New York, less than 2 hours from New York City. CB Cotton is live in our New York newsroom with the details. Hello, CB.
Hey, Mike. So the latest facility in Chester, New York now joins a list of several other warehouses located across the country that have been purchased by DHS from funding through the One Big Beautiful Bill.
The Department.
These FEMA camps, migrant detention centers, they're for us. You understand? Again, no one in trouble. Here's Tom Holman, immigration czar. He says in the last administration, over 500,000 children were smuggled into this country, released to unvetted sponsors. They lost track of 300,000 of them. President Trump has already found 145,000 of them. No one's in trouble for this giant child trafficking the government is admitting happened under the Biden administration.
Over 3,300 children. You know, the last administration, over 500,000 children smuggled in this country.
33,000 that are Russian.
Released to unvetted sponsors. They lost track of 300,000 of them. President Trump has already found 145,000 of them. In Minnesota alone, over 3,300 missing children we found that the last administration wasn't even looking for.
Just throw out 33s all over the place. I guess you're legit. You know what I mean? Just lying like a mug here. What's Denver say? Denver's mad. Denver's trying to say they're not all. Well, they're all actors, intelligence assets, right? I.e., our presidents, and all part of the same bloodline too. Here is Department of Homeland Security trolling Hillary Clinton. It's not controversial. Mass migration went too far and has been destabilizing to our society. Here's old Hillary. Remember Trump locked her up? Oh, no, that didn't happen.
I think we need to call it for what it is. There is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people. I think we.
Oh, man. Where are we at here? Oh, man. We got to do it. I know everybody's sick of it already. We're going to do it. We're going through more Epstein reporting here for you. And so, yeah, the Trump administration is the Epstein administration.
After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests. Among them, the financier Jeffrey Epstein. More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges.
Donald Trump knew the cameras were there. In the video, he makes a point to draw Epstein's attention to them. And the video captures Donald Trump and Epstein chatting while watching a group of women at the party dance. It's not an image that matches Trump's declaration that he was not a fan of Epstein's. He said, quote, he's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. So even that, I mean, to Bob Costa's point, in 2002, Trump had knowledge that Epstein liked women who were, quote, on the younger side.
And here's my question. How many times did you see him? Was it 1? Was it 100?
Right.
Was he at your house? Was he at your house? Have you met me? Make him lie, because I will tell you one thing right now. As we are sitting here, Mr. Epstein is in a little box somewhere sitting, and Joyce Vance tweeted about this, with the SDNY, and they're saying to him, we want a complete cooperation agreement, which means anybody you know that did anything illegal. There are a lot of powerful men, I think, having sleepless nights right now as a result of Mr. Epstein. And I
Teen models, powerful men, private dinners when Trump hosted. Look of the year. One of the girls on the boat was Shauna Lee, then 14 years old. She recalls how the contestants were encouraged to parade downstairs one by one and dance for Trump. That's a report out of the Guardian. Look of the year. "28 girls, Donald Trump and Epstein, 1992, an indication of years-long friendship between Trump and Epstein." I believe this is out of the Washington Times. 28 girls coming tonight. It goes on. So according to this report, they're holding a whole lot of Epstein files, just like the Pike Commission report. We're not getting the rest of this stuff.
A Channel 4 News investigation today reveals that all those pictures, emails, videos and messages released by the Department of Justice, said to be over 3 million pages, may amount to just a fraction of the Epstein material obtained by investigators.
Why do we think that? Because these raids on Epstein's properties, his Florida mansion in 2005, and his fancy New York townhouse and sprawling luxury island in 2019, saw dozens of devices, computers, hard drives and servers bagged and tagged and brought to FBI offices for examination. Now, emails examined by Channel 4 News show investigators discussing those very devices. From the earliest stages, investigators were talking about Epstein's data totaling many, many times what has so far been released. In June 2020, one wrote, "We expect the data to be somewhere around 20 to 40 terabytes, noting that the total capacity of the devices was up to 50 terabytes. Then as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. To put that in context, it is almost 15,000 gigabytes. But now, a year on from that, the total data released, claimed to be some 300 gigabytes, accounts for just 2% of the total Epstein data that officials were discussing just last year. Under the Epstein Act, DOJ attorneys had to look through all files to find any responsive material that related to Epstein, his networks and crimes. They claimed that 6 million pages had been identified, including duplicates. They released over 3 million. Both those numbers are tiny compared to the amount collected, according to today's emails.
The FBI has all of the blackmail material. Here's Massey. I don't trust him either. I think he's playing his role in this whole saga. Just to let you know out there.
Responsibility. And just very quickly, if you will, you've supported most of what Donald Trump has done during his presidency. But because of your actions with these files, he is supporting your primary opponent and has waged very personal attacks on you. I know we just have a few seconds here, but just your reaction to that.
Look, this is about the Epstein class, the people who are funding the attacks against me. They may or may not be implicated in these files, but they were certainly rubbing shoulders with the people who are in these files. They're billionaires who are friends with these people, and that's what I'm up against in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump told us that even though, he had dinner with these kinds of people in New York City and West Palm Beach, that he would be transparent, but he's not. He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
And
indeed, it is the Epstein administration. Where we at here? Here's Catherine Austin Fitts, her take on it.
So one of the things I'm concluding is I think Trump was part of the operation. I don't just think he was a friend of Jeffrey. It looks to me more and more like he was an integral part of the operation. And if Trump was, then likely Lutnick was as well, not just somebody who lived next door and helped him launder money. So this administration is the Epstein network. It is the Epstein network taking control of the U.S. government and ejecting its booster rocket. So by shutting down Jeffrey Epstein's operation, whether he's still alive or not, it doesn't matter. They're simply ejecting the booster rocket and moving up. The reason the Department of Justice can't prosecute the Epstein network is because the Epstein network is running the government, Donald Trump, the Department of Justice. They are the Epstein network.
Indeed. Massey went on to say, the speaker wanted to conceal embarrassing revelations about Bill Gates, Howard Lutnick, Sultan Ahmed, Jess Stanley, Leon Black, Leslie Wexner, by calling them non-credible allegations. Why did these people deserve to be hidden? Why couldn't U.S. citizens know their names? Was there pressure not to publish those names? And if so, where did that pressure come from? That's Massey talking about old Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And I think we know the answer, don't we?
He tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Obviously, that's it. Because they're all in here. Imagine the phone calls. It's everyone. It's every single person is on this freaking list. They're all there. Every billionaire, heads of state, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel. They're all in there. And
he tells.
What has the Trump administration done regarding the Epstein files? Phase 2 of the promised binders never happened. Remember the binders with all the clown influencers? They had their little binder, Epstein Phase 1. It was literally nothing. It was already all publicly available information. They tried to run that psyop. The president called the Epstein situation a hoax and criticized his own base for pushing for the release. Republicans voted against the release in the Rules Committee, then refused to return until they were protected from future votes on it. Speaker Mike Johnson sent Congress home a day early before the break. We reported on it at the time. The Deputy Attorney General met with Maxwell. She said something favorable about the president shortly after she was transferred to a minimum security facility. The White House called the Massey discharge petition a hostile act. According to Republican members who signed the petition, the White House brought them into the Situation Room and offered appropriations and or threatened primaries to stop the 218 signatures. The administration didn't release the files voluntarily. Congress forced it with a veto-proof majority. Kash Patel testified under oath that the FBI had no credible evidence Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. The released files show that's not true. Maxwell says 29 Epstein associates cut secret DOJ deals. Turns out there is a list. Those who cut deals. We covered that here. And still, we only have a small portion of the Epstein files released, as we just covered there. So there's what the Trump administration has been doing about it so far. A whole lot of cover-up in the Epstein administration, now rebranded. Epstein survivor Juliette Bryant is calling out for the DOJ's selective release, of the files. Why only drop stuff that trashes us and shields the monsters? She's got receipts, including her unreleased Christmas reply to Epstein. The selective BS is fueling victim outrage. She released messages not released by the DOJ that she still has in her email. There you go. Queen game of chess. I know you're still alive, but you know the queen always wins in the game of chess. F you and your disgusting cartel. I hope you all rot in hell. Sent from her to Epstein, allegedly. And there's a big missing gap in the data all around 9/11. And so here, Epstein files, there's a big missing gap here. A big missing gap. The gap, 25,000 missing serial numbers on the documents that have been released. Here's a graphic showing. You can see right here. Between 1999 and 2001, there's a big gap of documents. And what happened in 2001 in September on the 11th? Well, 9/11 happened, you see. And there was talk of, in these files, of Epstein and Maxwell being on the shadow 9/11 commission. So the real story is who's had the inside information and who profiteered off of that inside information ahead of the terrorist attacks on 9/11. They're never going to tell us. Epstein wanted help getting his Belarusian girlfriend a U.S. visa, but didn't want her to be part of my file, quote, to be part of my file. His associate casually replied he'd loop in ex-White House counsel Greg Craig and give Mayorkas over at INS the heads up. Yeah, that Mayorkas, this guy's part of giant trafficking networks, old Mayorkas. Here's the email. And so where is, it's all Democrats. Mayorkas is a Democrat. Why isn't he in any kind of trouble? The immigration czar is out there today on Fox News saying 500,000 kids are trafficked under Mayorkas' watch. He's all up in Epstein files as well. Now for some vigilante justice out of all this. Cain Velasquez served a year for shooting a man who molested his 4-year-old son. Here's a video of that incident.
MMA legend Cain Velasquez chasing after the man he allegedly shot. You can see the black SUV chasing that truck. Inside the truck was a man accused of molesting a family member of Velasquez.
This is exclusive video captured on a cell phone camera showing what appears to be Velasquez chasing after the vehicle, which seems to show bullet holes and dents on it. According to court documents, Velasquez rammed the vehicle with his own truck, then while driving, fired a gun aiming at this man, Harry Goulart, who was out on bail after being charged with molesting a young child at a San Martin daycare center. The documents confirm the child is a, quote, close relative of Velasquez.
So vigilante justice is always an uplifting story here. So he was Velasquez was a former UFC champion. So yeah, that guy could definitely beat you to death. He's got the cauliflower ears. Check him out here. You don't want to fight this guy. You know what I mean? And so a feel-good vigilante story there. He only got one. I guess he's been released, according to this report, 1 year. Velasquez shot at a truck carrying the who he thought was the child molester. He pleaded no contest to attempted murder and gun charges. He'll serve about more than a year, factoring in time he already served, according to a report out of ZBS News. So a feel-good vigilante story there. He should have been actually given an award, if you think about it. If all this proved out to be true and accurate, he should have been given an award. And we should be naming days. Instead of President's Day, we should have Velasquez Day for vigilante justice served cold to these bastards. When you thought the Epstein files couldn't get any weirder, and a bunch came out today of underage, it's blacked out. I'm not going to show you the videos. There's a bunch of clearly underage, mostly girls. I believe there's some boys too. Big old black boxes on them, but just weirdness. I'm not even going to show it on this show. There's a bunch out there though. Trust me. Don't trust me. Go find it yourself. How about that idea? Don't trust me. Go find it yourself and you'll throw up. Anyhow, this one we will show, just bizarreness. Hannibal Lecter. And so this was part of a Epstein file dump, this image. Yeah, it's just kids at Halloween, right? Yeah. When you put it in the context of all this other insanity, torture, and it doesn't look so innocent, and it just can't be explained away by, oh, it's just some kids on Halloween having a good time. Witness says a 17-year-old high schooler, she's pretty sure a flirty substitute teacher who begged her to stay quiet after getting caught in a porn magazine was Jeffrey Epstein. Same witnesses later crossed paths with Jimmy Savile at trade shows and knew a doctor who bragged about drinking children's blood. It's all right here in a report to the FBI. There's even more sordid details in there. This stuff's everywhere, man. Like, just what? YouTuber James Charles on a LA billboard, 25-year-old YouTuber with 25 plus million subscribers. And he's got as many allegations against him for grooming young boys. Here's the billboard there in LA shaming him. Doesn't seem to make any difference now, does it? Again, where are any type of, where are the cops? Source BBC, James Charles YouTube star admits messaging 16-year-old boys. This freak. But cops won't do anything, so they put up a billboard to shame the guy. They'll probably make more money off of this. One of the most chilling Epstein emails was sent to Larry Summers, now on hiatus from Harvard, maybe. Is he shamed out of public life? No. Obama's AG pick, Catherine Rumler, Epstein's buddy who got tangled in the 2012 Cartagena prostitution scandal cover-up. DOJ files drop show they knew White House ties existed but buried it. In other words, an elite protection racket. Yeah. The DOJ is our Epsteins. Here's the emails. Dude. Blue Anon, I saw this post over the weekend, and it does kind of look like Howard Lutnick, right? But Blue Anon is claiming this is a Howard Lutnick mask. I have a hard time arguing with them. This is one of the masks found. Remember his creepy, this whole dental chair setup? This came out in like, I can't even, not the latest drop, but a drop. The one before the latest drop, this came out. We reported on it. People are saying this is a Ted Cruz mask. May very well be. But they were definitely using this dentist chair to do trauma-based mind control, fear-based trauma-based mind control. MK Ultra style. You better believe it. And people on the internet, Blue Anon, are claiming this is a Howard Lutnick mask. It may very well be. Looks just like him. Took his family to Epstein Island. You know what I mean? Emails suggest Epstein victims were pulled into alleged group sex rituals involving people connected to Harvard. Even more disturbing, some participants allegedly expressed doubt or discomfort pointing to something that looked less like a random misconduct and more like organized cult-like abuse operating inside elite circles. You don't say. These pigs who call themselves smart and talk about Harvard act worse than animals. They make a bad name for animals, just effing sick. They go through this more from the Epstein talking about, yeah, the quote elite. He left bloody marks, and they just go through the sordid event there. Epstein reportedly told friends in 2014 he wanted to marry Celia Dubin the daughter of his ex-girlfriend, who he'd known since she was a child, and called him Uncle F. He kept a box labeled Selena Photos and his personal files, and had a Spotify playlist named after her with songs like Turn Me On, Club Can't Handle Me. He named her as a beneficiary of his $127 million trust when she was 19 years old. There's all that. Epstein's secret model apartment pipeline exposed. He ran what reads like a shadow annex at 301 East 66th Street, just 10 blocks from his infamous townhouse. Apartments were labeled apps for models, stocked, assigned, and routed as underage girls were housed there before being transported to his 71st Street mansion. Emails show drivers instructed to have, quote, the girls at his house by 8:30, like a morning meeting on a corporate calendar. Meanwhile, prominent names, including former, they go through the names, we'll get to some more names, but yeah, that's a report out of a New York Post. Epstein survivor accounts reveal the way he used offers of money and preying on young, vulnerable girls. Mom called him our godfather. Here's a report out of Sky News.
First met J.E. and GM sitting at a picnic table with friends. GM walked by with the dog. J.E. came up to meet her. Do you like teachers, classes, etc.? I give scholarships. 6 weeks later, someone called from the office asking, come by for tea, can send driver. Had tea with mom by the pool, likes to mentor, give scholarships. Brothers, poor, didn't have a lot of money. J.E. said he could help. Mom called him our godfather. Perfect grooming. GM always there, didn't know what relationship was. Kind of became big sis. Oh, pick you up, we'll go to movies. J.E. loved massages. Other women would provide. Women would remove top. I'd have to rub feet and he have me witness sexual contact. Same, similar people, women, girls, had professional massage therapists. Other girls around looked like models. Like 100 times he had me in the room when massaged. LA stay. A lot of girls around. One girl freaked out and cried. I gave her a hug. She said, I don't want to do this. I have a boyfriend. Me and another girl said, don't worry about it. Leave or stay out here. J.E. made me stand in my underwear. Took pics to show me I looked fat. Personal trainer. If want to be a model, gotta lose weight. Didn't think so many girls involved until his arrest in 2008. Thought I was the only one. Not in my own experience did I see other girls have encounters with friends of J.E. It would not surprise me. Always instructed, never asked. Instructed to have encounters with other females. I remember seeing him arrested on TV 07-08, then hearing he got that bullshit house arrest thing.
several lawyers, victims contact told me my name brought up to JE, and he said, "Oh, she's grateful for everything I've done for her. She won't talk."
It goes on. We're at the hour mark. Let's take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. We have the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. You can see right there. Go to weaponizednews.com. The description's below this video, or the link is in the description below this video. Go to weaponizednews.com. Help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week. At Weaponized News. We appreciate all the patrons to the store. We have put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your hard hat, your work locker, Weaponized News sticker there. We have reports that these last good in the Florida sun, the holograph ones. So help support independent reporting here at Weaponized News. We take donations. Buy me a coffee, link below there. Cash App, Bitcoin wallet address in the description below this video. Go to weaponizednews.com. And all of your support is appreciated. Thank you to all the patrons, to the store, and all the subscribers. It's truly appreciated in our efforts here to give you independent reporting and not trying to spin some political agenda and push one of these elites that is going to be our savior, because that's just simply not reality. And we're not pushing that BS narrative here at Weaponized News. Okay, continuing. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this President's Day, February 16th, 2026. Yeah, they're in transhumanism, eugenics, transhumanism. Another Harvard PhD in the Epstein files. Geneticist. Yeah. This character right here, George Church. George Church, Harvard geneticist. They were doing all kinds of insane eugenics, transhumanist experiments. Better believe it, with these maniac scientists. Sloppy Steve Bannon. How's this guy ever going to get out from underneath all of this? Well, he did put out a reply today. Another Epstein chat with Bannon, scheming, Bannon and Epstein scheming about new defenses, about how they're going to remake Epstein's image after he's been convicted child molester, essentially, right? And so more about this with Bannon, how they're going to remake Epstein's public image. And Bannon's looking real dirty in all this. He put out this reply to this. He says, Bannon said, "I am a filmmaker and TV host with decades of experience interviewing controversial figures. That's the only lens through which these private communications should be viewed." Really? Really? Bannon's scum. He's scum along with all the rest of them. Your great right-wing populist leader there, Steve Bannon. He's trying to explain it away. Oh, he was just making a documentary film with controversial figure. No, he's in there conspiring with Epstein to do dirty deeds all over the place. So some shame, maybe. Influential billionaire Tom Pritzker resigns as executive chairman of Hilton Hotels. And so he's been forced to resign. Tom Pritzker. Here now. Whoop-de freaking do. You know what I mean? That's the least you could do, is resign there. Tom Pritzker, all over the Epstein files. Over there in Europe, they're at least acting like they have some public shame. Here in America, it's very hard to find any public shame for any of these monsters. French police raid Arab World Institute over former chief Jack Lang's connection to Epstein. And so they're at least acting over there in France like they care. We know they don't, but at least put on an act, something. Here in America, the FBI says nothing even happened. You know what I mean? So, because the DOJ is the Epsteins, you see. You would think they would at least put on some kind of act. They don't even do that. They just literally spit in our face and say, yeah, we eat babies and drink their blood. What are you going to do about it? Vote harder in this next election. Slovakia's national security advisor stepped down. He was all up in the Epstein files as well. All kind of accents on this guy's name. How do you pronounce his last name? Lajacek. And with all kind of accents in Slovakian. So I'm sure I butchered that name, as I do many names, but anyhow, here he is. And so he's forced to resign. This character right here. Why don't you invite me for these games? I would like the MI girl. You can have them both. I'm not passive, and they're sisters. Forced to resign their national security advisor out of Slovakia with all these crazy accents on his name. Lajak, I guess is how you say his name. Anyhow, UK police are blocking the release of emails showing what Downing Street knew about Peter Mandelson's Epstein's ties before appointing him as ambassador to America. The blocked emails include vetting questions asking Mendelsohn why he continued contact with Epstein after his 2008 conviction and why he stayed in one of Epstein's homes while the sex offender was in prison. They knew, appointed him anyway, and now they're bearing the paper trail showing exactly what they knew. That's a report out of Politico. March 2015 email shows Epstein in an email chain about bat preparedness, about bat preparation. Yeah, preparing for bats 5 years before the bat time hit. They discuss how to get WHO officials looped in. Walter Kemp, a music composer. Hope we can pull this off. Photo shows Bill Gates, Epstein, and UN diplomat Larson together. What was Epstein doing in his bat meetings with Gates and the World Health Organization? Well, I think we know what they were doing, i.e. Operation Lockstep. Preparing for bats. See it right there in the subject heading of the email from Walter Kemp. Epstein pitched JP Morgan executives on tens of billions, quote, tens of billions fund with, quote, offshore arm, especially for miracles. In August of 2011, Epstein emailed Mary E. Rhodes, JP Morgan asset manager, CEO overseeing $2 trillion, about a Gates-linked donor-advised fund. His specific instruction in the email, however, we should be ready with an offshore arm, especially for miracles. E. Rhodes forwarded the request inside JP Morgan without raising any compliance concerns. She asked for more details by the end of the month, and Epstein personally responded the very same night. A convicted sex offender directing offshore miracle structure to a top Wall Street executive. Here's that email. Yeah, because they're all part of the conspiracy against you and I. Man. Newly released Epstein files say Epstein worked for the U.S. government as a financial bounty hunter and maintained significant political connections in both the U.S. and Aardvark land. A document claims Epstein once worked for the U.S. government as a, quote, financial bounty hunter and individuals with significant knowledge include Barak out of Aardvark land, Les Wexner, Bill Mitchell, or George Mitchell, Bill Richardson, Bill Clinton, and Doug Band. I think those names have all been out there a long time. But again, yeah. Epstein worked for the United States government as a financial bounty hunter. Epstein met with Gary Gensler before Gensler became SEC chair to discuss digital currencies. Gensler went on to play a central role in drafting Biden's Executive Order 14067, which authorized the U.S. government to pursue a central bank digital currency while taking a whole of government approach to crack down on crypto through the SEC, the Federal Trade Commission, the Treasury Department, the IRS, and other agencies. At the same time, Epstein was funding the hijacking of Bitcoin and contributed to funding of all three U.S. central bank digital currency pilots through MIT, the Federal Reserve Banks of Boston and New York. The pattern is clear. Cripple Bitcoin as digital cash, fund central bank digital currency pilots, and advise on government regulation to crush the broader crypto ecosystem. Epstein also invested early in Cycle USDC through Brock Pierce and was involved with Tether in its early days. Pierce asked Epstein to connect him with Larry Summers, suggesting a deeper financial relationship. Here's that. That's from Aaron Day. He's all over the crypto stuff here. And there's the email. Where are we at here? We still got more. Let me try to get through as much as I can here. In 2018, USCIS notice found in the Epstein files schedules a naturalization oath ceremony. That may have been for his, was Epstein trying to get someone to become a naturalized citizen? Maybe that, that gal we mentioned earlier, the Epstein files video showed young girls recording a man's reaction, laughing. We're not even going to show you these clips, but it's young girls dancing around with a big box over them. It's hard to make out even what it is, honestly. Here's one. This was in the Epstein files. File number EFTAO 1620904. It's all fun. It's all funny to them. Do you see?
Hello. It's nice to see you all here. Now, as the more perceptive of you have probably realized by now, this is hell. And I am the devil. Good evening. But you can call me Toby, if you like. We try to keep things informal here, as well as infernal. That's just my little joke. Now, you're all here for eternity, which I hardly need tell you is a heck of a long time. But I'm sure you'll all get to know each other pretty well by the end. But for now, I'm going to have to divide you up into groups. If that's okay. Can you hear me at the rack? Well, if you'd stop screaming, that would help. Okay, now, murderers. Murderers? Over here, please. Thank you very much indeed. Looters and pillagers, over here, please. Thieves, if you could join us, and lawyers. You're in. You'd like to come down there. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, there's plenty of room. If the hedge fund managers would just move along a tiny bit. There we go. Fornicators, if you could step forward. My God, there are a lot of you. You're down here, but first if you could form a queue in front of that small guillotine in the corner there. Thank you very much indeed. The French. Are you here? Parfait. And the Americans. Look, I'm sorry about this. Apparently, God had a little falling out with your founding fathers and damned the entire nation in perpetuity. He sends particular condolences to the Mormons, who he realizes put in an awful lot of work. Never mind, if you'd just like to come down here, yes. If you'd just like to keep clear of that big space there, we're reserving for a Mr. Trump. Atheists? You must be feeling a right bunch of nitwits. Come down here, please. Don't mind. And everyone who saw Monty Python's Life of Brian. I'm sorry, turns out God can't take a joke after all. There, good. And Christians. Christians? Yes, I'm sorry. I'm afraid the Jews were right. Thank you very much indeed. Right, well, that's about it. Are there any questions? Yes. No, I'm afraid we don't have any toilets. I don't know if you read your Bible, but I'm afraid it's damnation without relief. If you didn't go before you came, then I'm afraid you're not going to enjoy yourself very much. But then I believe that's the idea. Okay, well, look, I'll see you all later at the barbecue. Or rather, on the barbecue. And generally, I just hope that you all have a terrible time. I'd like to leave you actually with another little joke of mine. I only know two jokes, informal, infernal, and this one. And this joke goes like this. It is, knock, knock. Who's there? Death. Death.
Indeed, don't they? Isn't there a metaphysical rule they have to backhandedly tell you, and somehow that's going to absolve their karmic energy of all the evil they do? Revelation of the method. The redaction team had one job with the 2010 Epstein file. They blew it, and a bunch of I'm not going to name the name, but here, Epstein victims doxxed by the DOJ. You can go find them if you want to find the victims' names. Doxxed by the DOJ there. Looks like Epstein was building the surveillance state as well. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this clip. Oh, by the way, Peter Thiel named over 2,200 times in the Epstein files. Of course, he's a co-founder of Palantir. Technocracy.
What if Jeffrey Epstein's legacy wasn't only tied to his crimes, but also to the rise of modern surveillance technology? Imagine the same man accused of running one of the darkest networks in recent history, quietly backing a startup designed to turn every smartphone into a government monitoring device. In 2015 and 2016, leaked documents show Epstein's close ally, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, working alongside him to push a company called Reportee Homeland Security. The business claimed it would revolutionize emergency services. Its promise was simple but powerful. If you called for help, the app could instantly transmit your GPS location, a live video feed, and data from your phone directly to first responders. Not long after, Reportee was rebranded as Carbine, a name that since appeared in global debates about surveillance and state power. The investor decks circulating in Epstein's inboxes paint a striking picture. A September 2015 presentation describes the power of the crowd, highlighting how citizens' phones could effectively become surveillance cameras for authorities. A March 2016 update goes further. The leadership team features Israeli military and intelligence veterans, with Barak front and center. Their pitch targeted investors across multiple continents. Copies of the same slides appear in different email threads, showing that Epstein was actively distributing them to potential backers. Among those approached were prominent names in tech and finance, including circles close to Peter Thiel, as well as outreach to Russian and Chinese contacts. In every case, the underlying sell was the same. Here was a tool that blended safety, technology, and unprecedented access to private data. On the surface, Carbine was about saving lives, but the underlying architecture made it a dream system for anyone seeking control. By routing live video and precise location data into centralized command hubs, governments, and potentially others could gain extraordinary insight into citizens' movements and actions. Epstein's involvement wasn't just as a financier, it was as a connector, positioning himself and Barak in a marketplace where surveillance was the product. This wasn't a side project, it was one part of Epstein's broader effort to sit at the intersection of money, politics, and technology, and it set the stage for further ventures we'll explore in this series. This is Shepherd Lens Media.
There you go, Shepherd's Lens with that report. Continuing here, Shepherd Lens Media. Yeah, Peter Thiel named over 2,200 times in the Epstein files. Co-founder of Palantir. Thiel's ties to Epstein run deep. Emails, meetings, shared circles, even after the 2008 conviction. Now the same company he co-founded fuels Aardvark Land's AI targeting in Gaza, the West Bank, and ISIS mass deportation tracking system here in America. Yeah, Lavender, they've created targeted kill lists there in Gaza. Don't think they don't have those same lists here in America. They just haven't implemented it quite yet. So yeah. But hey, I guess a couple months ago, Thiel gave lectures about the Antichrist and how if we regulate AI, that could bring about the rise of the Antichrist. Remember all that? Ben Goertzel, the AI pioneer who coined the term AGI and helped build Sophia, the humanoid robot, was bankrolled by Epstein for nearly 2 decades. In 2015, when Epstein's funding was on hold due to bad press about his sex crimes, Goertzel defended him in an email saying the allegations were surely an occurrence among reasonably mature people who mutually consented at the time. Epstein approved $25,000 in funding the same day. Goertzel now says he regrets taking Epstein's money, but back then he was willing to defend child rape to keep the checks coming. Indeed, this character wants you to have a humanoid sex robot, right? And all the rest of the depravity. Continuing here. Musk is trying to clean up his image. Musk is saying, well, he was courted by Epstein to be part of this, even though he's best friends with Peter Thiel. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it said that Elon Musk blocked Epstein's emails at the server level so he could never contact him once he learned of his wrongdoings. Is the narrative being spun out there? I don't believe that, but that's the narrative cover-up story for Elon Musk. A November 2019 email entitled subject line confidential, Jeffrey Epstein claims 2 foreign girls were buried in the hills outside the Zorro on orders of Epstein and Madam G, alleging both died by strangulation during sex. 2 girls were buried and nobody is being investigated. Here's that report. That's Scripps News reporting on that one. A little bit more about it. New Mexico's land commissioner is now pushing for an investigation with ground penetrating radar and cadaver dogs. She asked for this exact same investigation back in 2019 and was completely ignored. 7 years, the bodies potentially sat there buried underground. Now, maybe some investigation will take a look at Zorro Ranch there in New Mexico. Epstein's early interest in amateur gene tinkering, biohacking. Here's a news article about it in Epstein Files. Amateurs are trying genetic engineering at home. Yeah, they're eugenicists, transhumanists. An email from evolutionary biologist, I wonder if he knows what a woman is, Robert Trevor's email to Epstein, carries the subject line, being raped as a honor crime. The message discusses claims about reproductive value, forced marriage to a rapist as restitution, dowry payments, and public rape and killing in certain contexts. The email frames the practice as a social mechanism to scare other girls into line. Here is that email. Robert Trivers. Right there, you can see. Subject line, being raped as an honor crime. Where are we at here? We got a little bit more Epstein, then we're done with that, and we'll move on to geopolitical news. Bear with me here. There's a lot, and I've still missed a bunch. I can only cover so much in our allotted time, you know what I mean? And it's never ending here. Epstein's 2006 sweetheart deal. Dershowitz dug up victims' MySpace pages showing them talking about smoking weed and partying, and used it to trash their credibility. Grand jury investigating Epstein got postponed, killed momentum. Here's the newspaper report about it. So they always attack the victims here. Epstein, try to take some nude photos, be open, brave, sexy, and wild. You're going to be 22, not 14 years old. Send me your 3 favorite porno links so I can see what you like. Don't be shy. Email exchange with alleged 14-year-old here. 100 screaming kids. An email linked to Epstein references bringing children by bus to the desert. The Barry Weiss hire. This guy, no shame, right? Barry Weiss, Peter Adia. This character still not resigning. See, America has no shame. Appears to be staying at ZBS News despite Epstein communications. How's this guy not shamed out of existence, booed off of every stage at the very least? At the very least. Old Alex Jones, man, what are we going to do with this guy? Alex Jones put this one out. Kaboom, just in. AG Pam Bondi just unreleased the full Epstein files under the Transparency Act. This is not true what Alex Jones was reporting over the weekend. This is a complete lie. The DOJ simply released a statement with list of names associated with Epstein and the files. There hasn't been a single new file released since the batch in late January 2026, which still includes heavy redactions and some fact check there on the X. Alex Jones. And that's all we got from Epstein today. Again, tomorrow we'll have William Ramsey on, do another deep dive into it, the occult, talk about the broader networks going on here. I'm sure shall be a very good interview tomorrow with William Ramsey. Be sure to tune in. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time. Michael Jordan, the basketball player, right? Weird. Michael Jordan just won the Daytona 500 as a team owner. But then there's this weird video. I think he said, what did he say? The kid had champagne or was wet or something from the celebration. Anyway, here's Michael Jordan, the world famous basketball player, appearing to inappropriately touch a young boy at the celebration of winning the Daytona 500. I don't know. Maybe it was innocent, but can we explain any of this bizarre behavior away anymore and still buy that? I don't think at this point we can. Like, what is going on with that? All that bizarreness. Okay, on to geopolitics, Department of War. They keep putting out these dystopic memes carrying the weight of American exceptionalism on President's Day. And they put out this dystopic meme with the bombers, the obelisk, U.S. Southern Command. As we're waiting, what are we going to attack Iran? What's up? A third of our Navy is parked off the coast of Iran right now, like all in this area, all up in here, a third of our Navy. And so Iran has built its country around our Navy and military bases as we await to see what's going to happen with Iran. U.S. Southern Command says Southcom, well, I'll put it up here on the screen for you. And it's going to be CENTCOM in West Asia. Southern Command is doing your extrajudicial assassinations on fishermen. Southcom is a war-fighting organization, and we are charged with defending the southern approaches to our homeland and ensuring security, stability, and prosperity in the Western Hemisphere, as our national defense strategy affirms. See, as the Constitution says, the whole Western Hemisphere is America should be the police of. Says it clearly in our Constitution, right? Sure. As our national defense strategy affirms, the most effective way to achieve this is by working together with our partner nations in the region to counter shared threats. Glad the CIA is taking over all this area that they weren't already running. Cuba's in bad shape. Gulf of America now. It's the American technate being built before our eyes here. Make nuclear again. Make nuclear great again. They put out these hats out of the White House. And what is this about? War Energy Departments team up. The War and Energy Departments team up to advance future of nuclear power, military base energy, and security. I don't know what could go wrong. The Ward 250 is a 5 megawatt nuclear reactor that fits into the back of a C-17 aircraft, could theoretically power about 5,000 homes. Here's the next generation nuclear reactor. It's the Ward 250. And the military proudly loaded it up on a C-17 and flew it from California to Utah. Here's that post with a nuclear reactor in the back of the C-17. There it is. These mini nuclear reactors. There it is, a better shot of it. So we switched out of there. Marco Rubio, Hegseth, new way of managing U.S. weapon sales puts America first. Yeah, they're out there just openly pushing the military-industrial complex, the arsenal of freedom tour in our face. I guess it creates American jobs. The jobs report that came out that last week they were touting. Now I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, the largest share of jobs were in healthcare. Not good. For decades, America has been the world's leading provider of dominant warfighting capabilities. It's not a good thing. It's a report out of USA Today that we're supplying the world with armaments to kill each other. But they're selling it to us. It's wonderful. It's all so wonderful. Pentagon used Anthropic's Claude in Maduro, Venezuela raid. This one's supposed to come out. This is a report from the Wall Street Journal. Use of the model through a contract with Palantir highlights growing role of AI in the Pentagon. They're bragging all over about AI. What is it? Mill.ai. We've been reporting on it. They're also using ChatGPT. They're using Anthropic, but this wasn't supposed to come out. And now, they're saying, the Pentagon is saying that they're going to cut ties or threatening to cut ties with Anthropic because this came out that they were using AI to formulate their plans and may very well have been part of their plans, according to these reports, of the kidnapping of Maduro. And we weren't supposed to know about that. So they're pissed off right now that this leak came out. And so at least flapping their gums that they're cutting ties with Anthropic And anybody that does business with them, I don't know. They're all tied together, aren't they? See how that sorts out. Just a whole lot of talk. Okay, more, maybe a whole lot of talk. Kim.com. He had this file sharing site back in the day. He's a hacker, dude. I think he's out of like New Zealand or something. Anyhow, this has been making the rounds, so I thought I would report it to you here now. When did he post this? He posted this yesterday. He says Palantir was allegedly hacked. An AI agent was used to gain super user access. And here's what the hackers allegedly found. Peter Thiel and Alex Karp commit mass surveillance on world leaders and titans of industry on a massive scale. They have thousands of hours of transcribed and searchable conversations of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk. They have backdoored the devices, cars, and jets of world leaders and accumulated the biggest archive of black belt material. Palantir is creating nuclear and bioweapon capabilities for Ukraine and is working closely with the CIA to defeat Russia. They believe they are 1 year away. They plan to achieve this by keeping Russia busy with meaningless peace negotiations. Palantir is responsible of the majority of Palestinian deaths in Gaza. They have developed the AI targeting for Aardvark land. We covered that extensively. That's not new news. Palantir is an arm of the CIA, and all data from international clients is copied into a CIA spy cloud. Palantir has become the most dangerous company in the world. If you work there, you have the right to know that this is what Palantir AI is used for without your knowledge. The Palantir data the hackers allegedly gathered will be given to Russia and or China. I was chosen as a trusted partner for this publication. I'm not involved in the Palantir hack, and I don't know the hackers, but I do know the hack happened. And so take that for what it's worth from Kim.com over there on the X. 13 workers left Palantir and issued this statement. Palantir is increasingly complicit, normalizing authoritarianism under the guise of a revolution led by oligarchs. We must resist this trend. Poor Palantir. Something tells me they're going to bounce right back from this scandal. They're down a little bit upon this latest scandal that they were used in the kidnapping there of Maduro, their software. Turns out there's Peter Thiel, President Herzog, and Alex Karp. Just saying. Take a look at that photo. And throwing this in geopolitical news, I guess, because it's out of Japan. I saw this, and I do remember playing Sega gaming consoles as a youth. And so the designer of nearly all Sega gaming consoles has died at age 75. Hideki Santo. Here he is. Sega video gaming designer dead at age 75. In Munich, it's out of the White House. We've been reporting. It's old news here at Weaponized News. We're in a new era, a new world order. The neoliberal order is done. As many world leaders have been telling us explicitly over the last few weeks here now. From Davos to the World Government Summit, now to the Munich Security Conference. It's pretty much the consensus that we're in a new world order, reported here to you at Weaponized News 2 years ago, for those following along at home. Now it's official. It's official. Here's little Marco. What did he do over there at the Munich Security Conference? He told us we're in a new era. Indeed. As the last Secretary of State, Blinken, told us, we're in a new era. Continuing here, top military officials from Germany and UK urge every individual citizen in Europe to prepare for possible Russian attack. Is Russia really going to? Aren't they always warning this? That's out of Der Spiegel. Is Russia going to attack Europe? I don't know. I hope not. That would be crazy. Here's this guy. They shot this guy a couple times, didn't they? Prime Minister out of Slovakia, Fico. They tried to whack this guy a couple different times. He says that he's not brave enough to say who bombed the pipeline, because we know it was Putin, right?
Who bombed oil? And I don't know their colleague who bombed the oil infrastructure in Ukraine. I do not believe any of those parties. I believe only what I see with my own eyes. There has been so many lies from both parties.
It's probably good advice. They're all lying. They're all lying. And so, yeah, who could argue with old Fico? It's probably why they tried to assassinate him a bunch of times. Because even having any kind of sense at all, they're like, off with their heads. You're like, no, but he just wants to make his own decision and says both sides are lying. Yeah. Continuing here, do we have Hillary? Let's see. The debate gets heated. Is it even worth playing our time? Probably not. Well, it's Hillary, same thing as Lindsey Graham, calling for U.S. Tomahawks to be used by Ukraine, and again, calling for a straight-up war with Russia. And Russia said, if that happens, we're going to take it as U.S. shot the Tomahawks at us. It's a direct war with Russia then. And so there you go for your Democrats and Republicans. Big Democrat, Hillary Clinton, calling for the same foreign policy as big GOP Queen Lindsey Graham of arming Ukraine with Tomahawks and have them shoot them at Russia, which would be, according to Russia, an act of war by the United States against Russia. They all are here, though. Hillary Clinton said, I think the effort of Putin and Trump are making a profit off the misery and death of the Ukrainian people is a historic error and corrupt to the nth degree. Her side was in charge. Her crew was in charge. That started all this. You know what I mean? So I agree with her, but she's part of it too. She's part of it too, you see. So, war with Iran? I don't know. Third of our Navy's right there. No war with Iran. Let's not have a war with Iran. That would be good. Allegedly, they're in talks there with the International Atomic Energy Agency to prove they're not working on nuclear bombs, somehow enriching the uranium. And they're not allowed to have ballistic missiles and not allowed to have proxies, right? Or the three demands that we've heard now. No nukes, no ballistic missiles, and no proxy armies. And they're acting like they just want domestic nuclear energy and not trying to weaponize it. Again, both sides are lying. You know what I mean? There's no good guys in geopolitics. Okay. Anyway, so we wait and see. I think we have a little bit more about that Iranian situation, but we wait and see. We wait and see as negotiations. And by the way, allegedly negotiations are still going on between Russia and Ukraine. And Witkoff, I forget even where he went. Witkoff's over there somewhere, allegedly negotiating peace. The attacker there in Australia, if you guys remember that a few months ago, Bondi Beach attack, right? Attacked a Hanukkah celebration over there. That attacker appeared today in court via video link. He's accused of killing 15 people. He faces 59 charges, including 15 murder counts. His father was involved in the attack, was shot dead at the scene, according to a report out of Reuters. This woman died. The Diana Eden, co-creator of Apple TV's Tehran, a spy thriller series, was found dead in her hotel room while filming season 4. Bless her heart. Bless her heart there. Authorities say there's no evidence of murder or foreign involvement, calling it likely a suicide. British Museum removes mentions of Palestine from exhibits. The move comes as Aardvark Land continues its military and political campaign to wipe out any memory of Palestine. They're going to have to edit that Indiana Jones movie, right? We played the clip of that where they clearly show Palestine there. From Trump earlier, or this was yesterday. Here's from Trump. The Board of Peace has unlimited potential. Last October, I released a plan for the permanent end to the conflict in Gaza, and our vision was unanimously adopted by the United Nations Security Council. Shortly thereafter, we facilitated humanitarian aid at record speed and secured the release of every living and deceased hostage. Just last month, 24 disgusted founding or distinguished, Freudian slip there, founding members joined me in Davos, Switzerland to celebrate its official formation and present a bold vision for the civilians in Gaza and then ultimately far beyond Gaza, world peace. On February 19th, 2026, I will again be joined by Board of Peace members at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace in Washington, D.C., where we will announce that member states have pledged more than $5 billion toward the Gaza humanitarian and reconstruction efforts and have committed thousands of personnel to the Internal Stabilization Force and local police to maintain security and peace for Gazans. Very importantly, Hamas must uphold its commitment to full and immediate demilitarization. The Board of Peace will prove to be the most consequential international body in history, and it is my honor to serve as its chairman. Excuse me. So, yeah, Trump appointed himself chairman for life to the Board of Peace. Crazy. Shadow President Bibi, he says demilitarizing Gaza. On that issue, he says they still have tunnels. We dismantled about 150 kilometers of 500-kilometer tunnel network. We have to complete the job. So that's a whole lot of demolition. They took out like a quarter of the tunnels, he's claiming. That's a whole lot more demolition. They're claiming now that is Bibi. He's claiming that they no longer need U.S. support, military aid. He says that he says they're now a world leader in technology and military, and so that Aardvark land will support itself. We should hold them to that, shouldn't we? Lindsey Graham pushing for war. Here's a striking statement by Lindsey Graham. He says, the wars of the future are being planned here in Aardvark land.
Yeah, we talked about that.
You've spoken about a quicker timetable. How quickly do you...
Well, I think what his plan is to replace the money of 3-point-something billion with an investment in new technology, rather than just writing you a check, help the IDF. He wants to create a partnership outside of the aid number. I like that idea. The wars of the future are being planned here in Israel, because if you're not one step ahead of the enemy, you suffer. The most clever, creative military forces on the planet are here in Israel, because they have to be to survive. So what we're looking at is that Israel is advancing down the road of new weaponry far beyond us, and it would be nice to have a
He's saying Aardvark land has weapons that are more advanced than ours. How is that? How is that possible? Here's Senator Queen Graham. Like, seriously? Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Little Marco, affectionately known by Trump, said that Iran is not easy to deal with amid theocratic rule. Yeah. Everybody's radicals. They're a bunch of radicals on all sides here now. So Iran's saber rattling a bunch too. Iran's doing Navy military drills. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Navy has launched a military exercise titled Smart Control of the Strait of Hormuz. Don't they know America runs Strait of Hormuz? Anyhow, could easily a stray bullet hit a U.S. ship? Just saying. Not like anything like that's ever happened over there before. USS Liberty. Just saying. So, yeah, Iran's saber rattling. How dare them off their own coast run Navy drills? I know, but they're doing it. And so let's pray for peace, man. It's just crazy. It's just crazy here. Netanyahu again calls for limits. We covered that, right? No ballistic missiles, no nukes, and no proxy armies for you, Iran. So, calling on the proxies to disarm all the way down to a slingshot. You know what I mean? When they say total disarmament, they mean it. They're like, no rock. You can't even pick up a rock and throw it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what he's demanding here of the Iranian proxies. Cyprus to attend Trump-led Board of Peace meeting as an observer. Cyprus announced it will participate as an observer in the Board of Peace meeting, but they didn't have $1 billion. No, I added that part. Part of the protection racket is it's $1 billion entry fee to join Trump's Board of Peace, right? Part of the protection racket there. Okay, we're at the 2-hour mark, and we're almost finished up here. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with me on this President's Day. The never-ending attacks. It's every day. Southern Lebanon, again, bombed by aardvarks. One person dead. We have the video. It's horrific. It's horrific. How many hundreds of violations of a ceasefire? It's peace in the Middle East. They're still stacking bodies in the Gazan genocide in the last 24 hours, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health. Two more dead Palestinians and 11 more injuries reported there. And then 3 bodies were recovered from the rubble in northern Gaza. This one's kind of crazy. Like they're trying to incite some more. According to the Cradle, they say Aardvark police arrest the imam of Al-Aqsa Mosque, Muhammad Ali al-Babasi, one day before the start of Ramadan. Like, dude, they're trying to incite these Muslims, man. And Ben Gvir constantly doing it, and the police escorted them in there to pray on their holy land, right? And dude, they're trying to escalate it on the religious front as well, and get these Muslims to do something by desecrating their holy sites. Okay, we're almost done here. They're going to annex the West Bank illegally and take all of that land. All the plans are there. So that's going to happen. It's going to happen. Aardvark Land's new West Bank registration process declares Palestinian land state property. The move follows several new measures to expand Aardvark Land control of the occupied West Bank. They're going to annex all that land and take it. And that's all we got on this President's Day. Let me go to the channels quickly here, to the Odysee. See if anyone's on the Odysee in the chat. See a few people. Gurr, John, Clyde Dog. Let's see. He said, shame on you for mentioning Alex Jones, John said. I was just pointing out he got fact-checked on the X. Bolsheviks tore down statues and destroyed histories of the Russian people. The Bolsheviks in America tear down statues and Civil War generals for the same reason. Indeed. Hillary's more masculine than Queen Graham. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the comments there, John, Gurr, Clyde Dog, for tuning in on the Odysee. I hope the Iranians take revenge for the Palestinians. I hope they finish it this time. Man, John. That's a comment from John on Odysee. That I think that will start World War III. It looks like that's where everything's going. Man, oh man, what a time to be alive. You screened my comments. Only so much I could say here, John. Thank you for tuning in, John. Appreciate it. And everyone else on the Odysee, on the Bitchute, thank you everybody for tuning in. X, I don't even know what's up with X. X is all messed up. We can't. I don't think we live stream there. I don't think it was like down for just posting messages. X is jack. So if you're tuning in on X, thank you for tuning in. I don't know if it's even working right now. Shout out to the Kick, Twitch, Facebook audience. Thank you guys for tuning in. And of course, the Rumble audience, keeping the chat lively as usual over there. Who do we have? We had quite a chat going there today. Denver chiming in quite a bit, saying how much we should trust the government. I don't know, Denver. I'm just not going to trust this government. You know what I mean? Just kidding. Just kidding. Always dropping some valuable links there in the chat from Denver. Who do we have? We had Chloe, Jan, TK2. Yeah, Mr. Bean. When you watch some of this stuff and you put it in the context of Epstein, you go, wait a minute, right? Highland. All right, guys. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the YouTube, too. Again, tune in tomorrow. We'll have William Ramsey on, researcher, author himself, host, very knowledgeable guy about all this crazy occult stuff. That's down at the bottom of the rabbit hole. So it shall be very interesting and informative. Tune in tomorrow. William Ramsey on Weaponized News. And as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening. And we'll be back here on Tuesday for more Weaponized News.